It's that time of year. Time to reflect, review, analyze, evaluate. We need to give our brains an opportunity to pause after the chaos and joy of the summer, to really sort through and think about our observations and experiences, to review our skills, our shortcomings, our dreams, and plans for the future. Join us today as we discuss how to use this time of year. Remember what sparked your passion for camp? UltraCamp knows it's about the people, not the paperwork. That's why they built a platform to simplify your camp management. Learn more at ultracampmanagement.com/campcode. Camp leaders, win back your time to what matters most, your campers. Bolin's comprehensive accounting, back office solutions, and tech-enabled team free up your staff to focus on your mission. Visit bolinhq.com, that's BOWLINEHQ.com, to learn more and book a free 2-hour financial diagnostic. Welcome to Camp Code, a podcast brought to you by Go Camp Pro. For us, in the world of summer camp, there's nothing more important than well-researched, well-planned, well-thought-out, and well-prepared leadership training. It's at the crux of all we do. It's how we deliver a safe, exciting, kind, supportive, growth-filled experience for our campers and their families. It's how we have our staff return year after year, and it's how we make the biggest impact on the world around us. Join us as we delve into the world of staff training, the good, the hard, and everything in between. We're in it together. In today's episode, we're going to be chatting about how best to put the summer of 2024 to bed and set ourselves up for the season ahead. But before we do, as always, we're going to take a moment to introduce ourselves. Gab?
Hey Beth, my name is Gabrielle Rill, and I'm one of the camp directors of Camp Waro. Camp Waro is an all-girls camp in the Laurentian Mountains, and we focus on creating a positive environment for girls and non-binary and trans individuals. And we do that while speaking in French and English.
Merci.
Merci,
And
merci.
I am Beth Allison, former camp director and now a camp consultant. And I'm co-owner of Camp Hacker and Go Camp Pro. My pronouns are she, her. And as always, I love talking about intentional leadership training. It really is what gets me going. So we're going to talk about how we can evaluate last summer and begin preparations for next year. So we're each going to start with something, but I'm going to go first this time because I always ask
Yes,
Gab to
yes.
go first. So we're going to take the pressure off. So I want you folks to start with your own personal evals, like how the airlines tell us to put your mask on before you help others. So reflecting on last summer is sometimes really hard to start. First of all, it's over. And if it's been difficult, some of us don't want to revisit it. But I think it's really important, and it's an effective tool to take us forward. So everybody has their own style. So you do you, but create a list of questions for yourself to ponder. So whether you write them in a journal, maybe you like to think about them while you're hiking or walking the dog, or maybe you're lying on a blanket in the forest with some nibblies and a good glass of wine. Doesn't matter. But you need to start thinking about some questions that you'd like to ask yourself. So I've got a few ideas, and we'll put these in the show notes, along with a few others that I'm not going to mention. But which areas of summer did I focus the most energy on? What were some of the experiences that brought me the most joy? What were my biggest struggles, and what did I learn from them? What's something I want to leave behind? What can I appreciate from the past year? You see where I'm going with all of these? They all have sort of similar ideas, but you probably want to go deeper than just those questions. So you can add a few things if you're the creative sort, but what words or themes could sum up your last summer? Or what area of your life grew the most this year? Or I don't know, what songs would be the soundtrack to your summer? Whatever it is to do. But by asking yourself these questions and more, you'll be able to form a stronger picture of what's been serving you well and the things that you should continue to do and what slowed you down and what you just need to get rid of. Because we all want to move forward with intention. And reflection can be a very tiring process, but for me, self awareness and growth are essential to giving everybody a meaningful camp experience, whether it's for a week, a summer, or year round. So, by taking that time now to reflect and evaluate, you're going to be more in tune with your goals and your aspirations, where it's just going to help you gear up to do it all over again. So, start first with your own self evaluations of this summer. And as I said, do it however you like, whatever works best for you. Maybe create a photo montage of things, or maybe you'd like to, record stuff, whatever works for you, but just make sure you take that time just for yourself. That's where I'd start.
I love that, Beth, and that's where I would start as well. And I think it can be scary. And sometimes we feel like we have so much on our plate. But what I'm hearing you say is in all of this, was there joy for you? Was there growth for you?
Hmm.
Did you learn? Because you need that energy going into your next season, whether your season's starting in the winter and you're having school groups coming in the fall, or it is truly next summer. You do need that personal motivation to serve your campers, serve your staff members, serve your families and yourself. So I definitely agree with you on that one, reflecting. And I've said it many times. I try to take off about 5 days at the beginning or the end of my season, beginning of my transition season, to really evaluate, is this what I want to do again next year? Because it's I don't want it to feel like a job that is just automatic and this is just what I do. Then it robs you of creativity, it robs you of insight and perspective. So I love that. I'm going to go with also, when doing that evaluation, a way to break down that sort of thought process where you're reflecting on yourself. Something that is used in a lot of organizations is evaluating the people that we serve, the processes that we use to serve those people, and the tools that we use to implement those
Hmm.
processes. And when I start listing all of the people that we serve and all of the processes that we use and like what are the tools, it helps me to see some of the gaps that might be missing in the service piece of our families and our staff members. And it also makes me sometimes look at some of the tools that we use and think, are these a little out of date? Are these helpful? Are they really serving us? And that can be anything from a registration to just even the type of apps that we use for helping our business. Or are we still just using accounting and an Excel document, which is fine if that's what you want to use. But sort of breaking that down for me helps me categorize things in a way, and also gets a little bit out of the emotional, where I can really stay in the emotional and I can really stay there. But so it helps me stretch a little bit beyond that.
Love it. All right. So before we share some more ideas, we're just going to stop for a break to hear from our amazing sponsor. And when we come back, you'll hear more about how we think we can best reflect on the summer of 2024. A special offer from UltraCamp for Camp Code listeners. Get ready for next season's staff recruiting with the Camp Experience Wheel, a powerful tool to prevent burnout, boost retention, and make sure your staff feels supported. Download it for free at ultracampmanagement.com/campcode. Tired of juggling multiple systems? UltraCamp offers a platform that simplifies your work by combining all aspects of camp management into one seamless solution. UltraCamp brings everything you need into one easy-to-use platform. Plan schedules and activities with just a few clicks. Easily organize, schedule, and automate your communications. Register and track campers easily. Manage payments and donations seamlessly. Get back to what you love. UltraCamp helps you spend less time on admin tasks and more time creating unforgettable camp experiences. Ready to see if UltraCamp is the perfect fit? Schedule your free personalized demo at ultracampmanagement.com/campcode. Camp leaders, do you often find yourself bogged down with bookkeeping, accounting, and other back office tasks, taking precious time away from what matters most, your campers? Imagine a solution that frees up your staff to focus on creating impactful and memorable experiences for your campers. That's where Bolin comes in. Bolin offers comprehensive accounting back office solutions designed specifically for camps. Our tech-enabled team handles everything from payroll and bookkeeping to financial reporting, compliance, expense management, spend control, and more, allowing your staff to passionately pursue your number one purpose. With Bolin, you can streamline your camp's financial operations, reduce stress, and ensure your team is free to make a lasting impact in campers' lives. It's time to win back your time and work with a financial partner that truly understands camps. Whether you're a for-profit, not-for-profit, overnight, or day camp, Bolin has a solution for you. Visit bolinhq.com, that's BOWLINEHQ.com, to learn more and book a free 2-hour financial diagnostic. The report is yours whether you sign up or not. Let Bolin take care of your accounting needs so you can focus on what truly matters, your campers. And we're back. I actually got to meet our sponsors at Tri-State this past year, and lovely, lovely people. And we're going to have them on as guests later in the season because they've got a lot of camp information to share too. So we're excited for that. But
Very
before we get
exciting.
to those folks, Gabs, what else are you up to this fall as you analyze what went well, what needs work, where you need to put your energy for the
Mhm.
2025 season? What else are you doing at Waro?
I like to work with my team and relook at our why and relook at what we're doing right now to serve our why, and then go a step further and say, why do we do it that way? So it's
Mm,
a way of questioning almost, I wouldn't say everything that we do, but we look at things that we think we could do better, and then we ask ourselves, why do we do it this way? Where does it come from? And can we do this better? And it's almost a way, I would say that what it actually feels like is it feels like cleaning out the garage. At first, it feels extremely daunting. Then you feel like, what's the point as you're doing it? You know what? All those boxes in the garage, they looked fine there. Even though there's dust on them and we haven't been able to reach them for many years, it's fine. It's out of the way. And then you start to clear it out, and then you start to see possibilities. Oh, if we, now that we have the space, now that we're not putting our energy into this, we could actually X, Y, and Z. And then we sort of wrap it up with a, who could do this instead of us? Who could be a person that could take on, let's just say, open house that's not part of our core team that could be supporting us, that's alumni perhaps, or who could take on this piece, who could help with tightening up our HR practices, because letting staff members go can be really stressful, and we want to make sure we're doing it the best way possible. Who can help with these things? So really what we're looking at is a bunch of areas that we know we could do better in that first process of people, process, and tools, and then say, okay, why do we do it the way that we do it? Can we do it in a different way? And can somebody besides this team help us out? Because sometimes we just take on everything and then it just feels like we're repiling everything back into the garage, and not throwing as much stuff out. So that's going to be, actually, that's a process we're going to be doing in 48 hours from recording this podcast.
And I always love your analogies, but I was in my garage this morning at
Yeah.
7:30 a.m. and I can totally relate. I could visualize everything you were saying.
It's
So
it's
something Travis and I have to do this fall is
it's
clean up
such
the
a
garage.
daunting task, and you
It
don't
is.
want to do
No.
it, but it honestly feels good. And
Yep.
you know what? This is the thing about the garage and also looking at camp. We kind of want to ignore some of the things we don't want to deal with, but our lives will be so much better if we just look at it and pay attention,
Hmm.
and clear it out. And it, and sometimes you don't even notice those boxes, but you have to sort of walk in. So having a team and saying, okay, let's what are some things we could have done better? This is our main why, and how we're supporting our campers and how we're serving our campers and our staff and our families. Are we doing that? In what areas are we not doing that? How come? What's stopping us from doing better? What can we do differently? But it does feel so good. But
Hmm.
what makes it honestly daunting is feeling like your job is going to you're just going to have more work to do, and that's not the goal. The goal is to minimize your work but have better service.
Nice. Love it. I would absolutely be going over staff and family evals from this past summer. So asking yourself questions like, what are the themes that keep coming up? Not what's the one off that some parent complained about or some staff member had an issue with, but what are the themes that keep coming up? What struggles stand out? Therefore, what emphasis do you need to put on training sessions next year? What problems do you need to solve? And if you don't or haven't sent these out yet, you need to do so ASAP. You need the input of your people to really get the full scoop, and they will be thrilled that you've asked for their opinion. Not everyone will send them in, but that's okay. But those who do will be really thrilled to have been a part of that. If you're sending them out now, please do yourself a favor and make them as simple and as creative as possible. So give them the opportunity to fill out in just a few minutes and to write more if they feel like they'd like to. Make it anonymous so folks can feel safe answering possibly difficult questions. Use technology to make it simple for them to answer, but not too difficult for them to answer, especially if you're looking for those parent evals. They don't have a lot of time, but they will, click a few boxes if that's helpful for you. And I would also add an incentive for filling things out. So maybe you can do draws for, stuff at, uh, from your tuck shop, or maybe you can do, a $25 voucher to next year's tuck shop, or, if you really want, you do a draw to see who wins a week of camp next year, whatever is in your budget. But you want to give them some sort of incentive for doing that, and intro those evals with a really fun video from you asking for their input. We are camp people. We know how to do things with cool creativity. And when you've gone over all of your evals, put it out there in your camp newsletter, on your website, on Instagram, wherever. But what changes you're going to make or you're pondering for next summer, thanks to the evaluations sent in by your people. This part is really important. Folks need to feel like you have listened and that you're going to take the appropriate action. And so I would be looking at all those evals and seeing where the patterns are.
Yeah, and you can even, if you were, even if you didn't do, let's say, evals the year before, but you got some feedback and you did implement change,
Mhm.
you can put on your social media feeds, thanks to your feedback, these are the top three things that we were able to change to
Yeah.
make campers have a better time at camp, or have
Mhm.
more fun, or lessen stress, whatever. Even if it's a small thing, like with some one of our feedbacks that we got this year, we adjusted our one of our forms, and it's a really small adjustment, but it's going to help with clarity and communication. And the families are so appreciative when we explain to them that that's what we were doing, and it's literally taking out one question, one of our forms, so there's less confusion. But um you can promote your surveys that way, saying thanks to last year's, help
Mhm.
us with this year's.
Yeah.
And then they know that you're a business that, or an organization that, your action is, you do want to take action, you do want change. And I think a lot of people are used to people not changing things. So showing that you actually listen, I mean, that's a win-win.
Right. And even if you're a parent or a staff member who didn't fill the eval in, I think all of our staff members do, but like
Yeah,
your parent, you at least see that the camp takes parent evals seriously, and
yeah,
that you listen and you change what you can. And maybe you need to explain why you're not going to change what people have asked for. Just
absolutely.
again, transparency, just so they understand where camp is coming from.
But you need that information if you
Yep.
want to evaluate your organization and implement change. That it's necessary to hear from your staff. It's necessary to hear from your campers, and also from the parents. Those are two
Hmm.
separate pieces of information, because there's only our assumptions
That's right.
of what we're doing. So I love that. I love that one, Beth. It's so important.
Do you have another one?
I'm like, I could talk about this forever. I'm going to go off of your evaluations.
Sure.
I love looking for patterns in behaviors, patterns in questions of families, just straight up patterns. And literally interviewing different people on camp to understand more their experience, but more their observations. So not necessarily their personal experience, but their observations of things. So the person that is in more contact with families, like has one of the most contacts with families, what were the top 5 issues that or questions
Mm,
that you saw
mhm.
asked? With section heads, what are the top concerns that the staff that you were with, they came and asked you those questions? Like I love, love, love trying to see like the patterns where the issues were. And then off of those patterns, seeing, what are the micro changes that we can implement? I'm very big into once you have a pattern, a lot of the time what people do is they pendulum swing. I think little micro shifts are what makes the biggest difference. But getting, especially a month after camp, people are a little bit calmer. They have a little bit more of a clear mind, clear head to answer these questions. And I just do it over the phone, and I let them know that I'm interested in hearing about their experience at camp. I'm interested in hearing their observations, and I gather that information, and I start to see patterns that happen across the board or isolated incidences. So I love patterns, and I love not pendulum swinging, and then being able to bring that to my team and saying this is what the dining room has said, this is what the waterfront has said, this is what the arts and crafts team has said. Listen, this is happening everywhere. um for example, for us, what I've noticed is campers are way more tired.
Mm,
They're
mhm.
asking for some more rest time. Our schedule is much lighter than what it used to be, but I think we need to make even more of a shift, I'm noticing. So I'm going to be looking at that for sure. But patterns is very exciting. But interview people, and ask them their observations.
Perfect. Thank you. And finally, for me, I would gather a well selected group of folks to help you go over last summer. So, in
Mm,
person, if you can, but obviously use technology if need be, and create yourself some teams or task forces of evaluators. So, not just asking staff, but I would include groups like full time staff, summer staff, campers, parents, volunteers, donors, whatever groups you can think of. And now, all that being said, I would not put them all together in a room for
right.
this exercise,
Okay.
but I would do them separately so that folks can be honest and not worry about, for example, sharing staff struggles in front of parents. So if you get to be together in person, of course, don't forget to feed and water them. But the way I'd kind of plan it out is to start with the yays. Like, what are you celebrating? What was a yay? And make a big list and celebrate them. So things like the projects you finished or the ones you're closer to finishing, the problems that you solved, the relationships that were nurtured, the laughs, the smiles shared, name them and celebrate them, no matter how small they feel. Look at them as proof of how much progress you made this year. And then I would dig a little bit deeper. So, what can you do next summer to keep up this good momentum? What can you do to sort of nurture these seeds that you've planted? So, you want to learn from those wins. So, don't skip this step. Don't skip the deeper part. Now, what comes next, of course, is recognizing the difficult times. So, acknowledging weak or rough spots in your year, it can be freeing once you've had some distance from them. So, and again, of course, you make your big list and then dig deeper. What lessons there might have been in them in these issues, and then saying, okay, thank you. Next, what else? What else can we learn? And then it's time, I think, to take a look at the ways that you've grown. Growth is not always linear and it isn't always vertical. So you take, things from the first two steps and write them down how camp grew from these. That might be new skills that were learned or new habits that were built or new perspectives that were gained. The list is endless, really. And then I think finally you start to look forward. So you start thinking about the big picture and all you want to paint next year. What are the goals? And we'll talk more about that in the next podcast. But how do you want to take this information and do some actual planning and visioning with it? All right. So we are now ready for Camp Code's world famous recap. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Gabrielle Rail.
Recap, recap, recap. Okay, so as usual at Camp Code, we ask you to start with yourself. Hey, how was your summer? What did you have fun? Did you even have a little bit of fun, a little bit of sun? You gotta check in with yourself, checking how your summer was. Did you grow, et cetera, et cetera. And then once you're done that at Camp Code, we also believe in checking in with your why, the why of your organization. Where did you hit the mark? Where did we miss miss the mark. And you know what? When we do that, we can then look at the people that we serve, the processes that we use, and the tools that we use, and we start cleaning out the garage. Like, is there's anything that we could maybe do differently? Let's start taking those boxes out, and let's ask our friends to help us take those boxes out. It's like when you move into a new house, don't do it by yourself. Ask your friends. And we're camp people. Hopefully, you have some friends that can come and help out with some of those changes that you're going to be doing. While you're doing those changes, you should probably check in and read some evaluations. And it is not beneath us at Camp Code to bribe our fellow families to fill in their evaluations. It is so helpful. Prove it to them that it's helpful. Show them that what they tell us, we do make changes when we can. And then make a list of the specialty people in your organization, and why not interview them on their perspective of camp and try to piece together some patterns that you're seeing so that you can make those changes. And while you're at it, take it a step further and create a little gathering. That's a suggestion on Beth, and not just find out what are some things that we need to change, but what are some things that we could keep doing that we do well and that we want to make sure that we keep doing well. We're all here to learn. It's not at all that you're not doing your job. I know you work so hard, you care so much. It's hard to get feedback, especially when people aren't super happy. But just know that they're telling you this information because they love your organization, and we can show that love back by listening and making some changes when it's possible. And that is our recap for today.
Excellent as always. All right. So if you want to share your thoughts with us, you can let us know any topics you'd like us to discuss this season, any guests you recommend that we have on the show, and any great tips from your summer that you would like to share. We would love to hear from you. And if you found our podcast to be useful, we'd appreciate a rating and review in your podcasting app. If you'd like to talk to either one of us individually, here's where you can find us. Gabrielle?
You can get in touch with me at info@waro.com, OUAREAU.com, and you can check out where I work at waro.com.
Thank you. You
Thanks.
can email me directly at beth@gocamp.pro, and I'm on Instagram at topaz_faye. And for our next topic, we're going to be diving into what to do with all this reflection information and how to move forward for 2025. So our final segment on each podcast is always a best practice for leadership training. And again, we'd love to hear yours. So please let us know. We would love to hear your memorable moments or your most effective staff training tips. This week, I'm the one on best practice. So I came across this great little tool from Daily Greatness, and I thought I would share it with you. The exercise is called simply Stop, Start, Continue. And I think it's great for this time of year, but I would also tuck it away for next summer to share with staff and have them do it several times throughout the summer. So, number one, take a moment to think about what you need to stop doing. What is it that you're doing that's creating issues or stress or personal problems for yourself or for your staff? Take a moment to think about what you need to stop doing. Number two, what do you need to start doing? What is something that would help you make you feel better, help you deal better with communication with your staff, whatever it is, but what do you need to start doing? And number three, what you should continue with. So this could be your process in your business or people you work with or marketing activities or training or skill sessions or programs, whatever you like. But I love the simplicity of it. Stop, start, continue. And now that you've taken the time to ask yourself some really great questions and get a clear picture of how things have been working, how you're feeling, and what needs to change moving forward, it's the perfect opportunity to set yourself some new goals for the year ahead. So there you go. Stop, start, and continue. Camp Code is part of the Go Camp Pro podcast network, and you can check out all our other podcasts at gocamp.pro/podcasts. So thanks again for joining us today. We always love talking about staff training, and we're eager for this season ahead. Thanks for listening, friends.